Ready? Hello, everybody. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good. It's good? Okay, so today we're back with knowledge. We appreciate you joining in yesterday. Today we're going to be talking about the Epstein files. We're going to be talking about TPS. We're going to be talking um, a little bit about everything of the good stuff today. So, first and foremost, the house that New York City forgot. All right, fam. Let's get into Manhattan's secret endeavors. We always hear about Little St. James, but the real engine of this operation was right here in the 212. Look at this house, right? Look up 9 East 71st Street. This isn't just a building. It's a 21,000 street fortress. It was gifted to Epstein by Lex Wexner for $0, and a transfer that still baffles investigators. With 3.5 million pages of files, we still don't have a clear answer on why the king of Victoria's Secret handed a Manhattan palace for $0. Fun fact, this house was actually valued at $77 million. While you're struggling with the mayor's 9.5% property tax hike, these guys were trading palaces like Pokemon cards. Now, later on, we're going to dive deeper into the 3.5 million pages of the Epstein files. However, we're going to get into the people that was in this craziness. So, first of all, yesterday Prince Andrew's is being held at his palace. Let's see what was. Sorry, I'm all over the place today, guys. We're getting it together. So we're gonna look up the everyday giants like Lex Wexner, the political chains, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrews, all these things, the local ties, and what it means to separate ourselves from those things. Now, another thing we're going to be getting into is, I'm sorry, guys, I'm so distracted today. This is what I was talking about yesterday, that if you're not into the mindset of things, doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, you're still not going to be able to apply yourself to the best of your ability. These are one of those days. But we made it in, so that's all that matters. So let's get into this. So, as of March 3rd, a critical legal battle is reaching its peak. A federal judge recently blocked the Trump administration attempt to end temporary protected status for nearly 500,000 Haitians. The administration is appealing. A decision from the U.S. Court of Appeals is expected any day now. So this means for 5,400 TPS holders in New York, this isn't just news, it's survival. It affects work permits, home mortgages, the safety of families, the whole 9 yards. Yesterday, March 2nd, well, the day before, whatever day it is, the Haitian government officially opened the 10-day registration period for political parties to run in the upcoming general election. While some of this is a light after death, many in the New York City diaspora are skeptical. How can elections be held when gangs like Viv Esnam still control the capital? This creates a massive internal conflict for Haitian Americans. Do you support a flawed election or demand security first? Despite the fear, in New York City, we have things like Compa and Tuesdays in Brooklyn that are always packed. Really understanding that the Haitian community in New York is huge. This is the community's way of breaking the chains of negative narratives instead of waiting for a court ruling to define their joy. Now, some of the direct things that you can do right now at 3807 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, the contact number is 718-940-2200. This is the Haitian American Community Coalition, as well as the Canberra Legal Services, which is located at 1720 Church Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We have the Catholic Migration Services and also the Brooklyn Legal Services that you can look up as well. These are things that are helping out Haitian American with the TPS and all of these things. We have now we have people in our community that are trying to be leaders. However, the videos, the algorithms, all of these things are being blocked, right? So we have to be, with all of these things coming out, with the Epstein files, they're trying to distract us from a lot of things that are happening, like our neighbor being deported, whatever the case may be, right? So this is a time for community. When the system breaks, what are you going to have? You're going to have aspects that no longer exist within your 9 to 5, like we were talking about yesterday. You have to be healthy for yourself. What do you have when the system breaks down? I think the community aspect is so important these days. Having a friend, having a neighbor, having your local support groups that you can talk to, because there is so much poison going on out there in this community right now that you need to formulate your own support group, so that way we're going through a war right now. You know, Trump just, I believe, what was the statistics there? All of this is new information, so obviously I have just written it down. I have just formulated the plot. I have videos set up for you. I had everything all, but we're going to set that up for you guys next week. So I'm kind of all over the place for today. Now, right now we have the U.S. and the Israeli strikes against Iran continuing on for another day, aiming for regime change following the assassination of the supreme leader. We have high visibility NYPD patrols that have been deployed to sensitive locations across all 5 boroughs. Make sure you drop your borough in the chat. Wherever it is that you're from in New York, I'm sure you're being affected by it some way, somehow. Mayor Zoran Mardami has publicly condemned the strikes as catastrophic escalation, creating a sharp divide within the federal policy. The scene at Times Square is massive, dueling protests. They have taken over Times Square right now. Major traffic disruptions. Midtown Manhattan is a hot mess. While airports, JFK, LaGuardia are technically open, they are canceling mass flights all over. New York travelers are still reeling in from the winter storm Hernando, let alone the 20 inches of snow that just came in, and now being grounded over 8,000 flights. Oil prices have jumped following the attacks. So experts warning of sustained gas prices hikes for New York commuters. So specifically for New York, we are being affected by this war exponentially. There are things that are going to start. If you thought your groceries was expensive before, you're going to be happy that those groceries was the price that they were, and you're going to hope that they stay that way. If you thought that the gas was high, the gas is only going to get higher. These are the things. If you thought that we were living in a time of inflation, things are only getting higher. The High Court just blocked the redrawing of New York City's only Republican-held congressional district. New safety protocols at Columbia University following a controversial ICE detention of a student without judicial warrant. These are just some things that are just happening right now, current events. Again, I had videos broken down for you guys within each segment. However, I don't have the person that I need here today, so we're compensating and we're figuring it out. Right now, the Middle East is on fire and the smoke is drifting right into Midtown. With U.S. and Israel pushing for regime change in Iran, New York City is back on high alert. You've seen the NYPD out in force, rifles at the UN, sirens in the Diamond District. Mayor Mandami is calling this a catastrophic escalation again. But while the politicians argue, the city feels like a fortress. We need to stop looking for safety in a press conference or a badge. We need to stop waiting for them to tell us what it is the next step is to do. Liberation starts when you realize your peace is not tied to a geopolitical map. Excuse me, guys. Build your own local network. Know your neighbors. When the world goes loud, turn your focus to the micro community where you actually have influence. This is why I'm trying to have some type of influence on here. Not only because it's important for younger women like myself to see familiar faces on the internet. It's important for me to influence other people and that don't have that person, you know? And even though we're all over the place in the first episodes, I think we're going to really get it together and you guys are going to love all of the segments that I have for you guys. So just make sure you guys are staying tuned. Right now, Midtown is a parking lot. Times Square is a sea of banners as dueling protests over the strikes clash. It's loud, it's angry, and if you're trying to catch the N train, it's a nightmare. The city is vibrating with the tension of global conflict played out on 42nd Street. We have to truly break free from what it is. Oh, we're waiting for the next news to come up and tell us what it is to do. I think this is why the Haitian American community is so strong here. And every time the news come out, they band together because they're not waiting for someone to tell them that it's okay to live. It's okay to be here. They're going to live. They're going to be here. And, you know, they're going to be out in our churches. They're going to be our nurses. They're going to be all of these places. And they're not waiting for someone to give them permission. So right now, the travel and the chaos, the rain is dissipating the snow, thank God. But you can't fly out. You can barely drive in. Between the global flight cancellations and the 20 inches of snow, New York City is an island in every sense. The DSNY is still digging out the side streets, and the airports are a graveyard of canceled dreams. This is the universe telling us to relocalize. We've become slaves to global mobility. Use this as to lock in and master your immediate environment. Support the Corner Bodega. Walk your neighborhood, and prove that you don't need a boarding pass to find a life worth living. So gas is spiking because of the Gulf, and the city is eyeing your property taxes to fill those holes. It's the classic New York squeeze. Global events hit your tank, local policy hits your home. They're debating tax reforms now, but we've heard that song before. Financial liberation is decentralization. Reduce your dependence on the systems that tax your existence. Explore community land trust or co-op models. The less you rely on their volatile energy and rigged tax schemes, the less power that have over your morning. So I pretty much read everything that I wanted to say in terms of the news. Now, let's get into real talk. Understanding that the influence that you hold within your community is so powerful no matter the age that you are it really makes a difference between the person getting up in the morning or not. If you give someone something to look forward to, you'll you'll give them something to look forward to. Like I remember when I was waking up and I would take, my normal walk, and there will be the same people there. And when I wouldn't take that walk, the people will ask me the next day, where were you? Why didn't you take the walk? You start to form a community whether you know it or not. Sorry, I have these pants on and they're making noises. You start to form a community whether you know it or not. So when I say take that walk, support your small business, all these things, because they're trying to decentralize, divide, and continue to segregate who it is that we are as a melting pot in New York as well. Being from New York means seeing all of these different cultures and all of these different aspects around us, right? Having these type of files, these files had 3.5 million pages in it, way too overwhelming for anyone to digest. What happens when you realize that the person that they're trying to condemn is the system? These type of people are so embedded that they are the system. We cannot break free from that at some point. At some point, you have to understand, okay, this is too big for me to tackle. I'm just going to tackle this within my community and formulate that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm missing as a woman as well, because tribal life, community life, all those things, that's ancestral, right? We thrive on those type of things. When we were born with no teeth, no nails, barely any hair. We were not born with the same things as a snake or a bird or these things when they're born with their talons, they're born with their fangs. We're not born with our things to protect us. So we need each other to protect each other. And I don't want us to be distracted. Even though I was going to get into all of those things, I don't have the video, so we're just going to freestyle it again today. Well, I do have the videos, but yeah. We're going to get more into a reflective live for the day, because I'd rather you guys have the images to see while I'm speaking about those type of things, because it can get extremely overwhelming. But we are dealing with a corruption that is so deep that if you try to tackle it, you yourself will end up falling in, because that's how sticky it is. And I think it's important for us to understand, get back to the basics. And I was talking about this yesterday, but we can expand on that. Being a wife means having wife friends. Being a husband sometimes means having husband friends. Being a brother means having other brothers around. We have to have like-minded things around us to be able to prosper, right? And I think that is what's missing within our community. We're not seeing the role models that we're supposed to see. So yeah, we're scrolling, we're seeing all these, and we're distracted. Honestly, yes, the Epstein files and all these things are important. And I got 3-4 pages of it that shows of how much information there could be on there. But 3.5 million pages, you can only imagine the type of things that's in there. We're talking associations of things that, the systems that go so deep. Elon Musk, damn, Jeff Bezos, these people have all the money in the world. So if these type of people are involved, what is little old Kim Knowledge going to do at the end of the day? So I definitely want you guys to send the emails in and let me know, do you think that we have a real chance on breaking the system down? And if we do, where's the start to that? Because to me, it's just talking and rambling like this is just a start. But if you have a better understanding of how we could break these systems down, please send me an email, send me a chat, send me a comment, because at the end of the day, we've been protesting forever. We've been striking forever. We've been doing these things forever. And I'm not saying that some of it hasn't worked, because yeah, we are where we are because of it. But in this type of scenario, the numbers matter. The numbers truly matter. And we're no longer sticking together. This is why they created the pandemic, as we can see through the files. This is why they created these type of things, so everyone can continue to stay separate, be more separate, communicate less, be less social, be less family orientated. You know, like I was saying yesterday, we take the men out the home, we break the family down, and then we have nothing. So this is another part of the New World Order, for sure. What are the odds that they see the rise of the Haitian Americans on the internet, and now all of a sudden is with the TPS and all these things? They know what is going to be the next revolution, and they try to take it away. They go, oh no, this is the next people that's going to try to stop us. Let me try to separate that. So all of these topics, they start to become relevant as you really start to dig deep and really realize what their purpose is. And their purpose is to keep us dumb, to keep us low vibrational. Why do you think Bill Gates is the one that owns the vaccines and also owns the farms? So you're going to tell me in one location he has vaccines, medicine, and all these things, and right next door Bill Gates have farms with apples and oranges or whatever the case may be. So yeah, the same people that's making the medicine is the same people that's growing the food. So these are things that from the top to the bottom that they're trying to make us sick, they're trying to keep us dumb, they're trying to make sure that we don't be awake. Because if we don't have a family, we don't have no purpose, we're not healthy, all of these aspects, we're too, I don't want to say slow, but yeah, we're too slow. We're too slow to react. You make a bunch of people lazy and obese, how are you going to revolutionize? How are we going to stand up to a bunch of people that is running the world if we're a bunch of obese, low vibrational people? And that's their goal. So they teach us what they want to teach us in the school. They feed us what they want to feed us in the school. You know, Aquafina is one of the worst waters. Why is it Dasani and Aquafina where we go? In the hospitals and the schools is Aquafina and Dasani. But they have been classified as one of the lowest pH, you know, out of all the waters. But that's the type of water that you'll find in our hospitals and our schools. It frightens me that we have become so naive to believe that we can trust the system. This is why when people don't get second opinions and they don't research themselves and they don't care to do the extra mile for themselves and they just take what is given to them, it scares me. Because those people have a hidden agenda. Those people have a hidden agenda to, whether it's for your money, excuse me guys, whether it's for your money, whether it's for whatever it is that they're using you for, that's what the hidden agenda is for. They don't care about you. When the pandemic hit, there was doctors on the Forbes list. There has never been doctors on the Forbes list before the pandemic. How were the doctors able to make so much money through the pandemic? Through the ventilators that were being cost well over $33,000 per patient that they were giving to, including my grandmother. So when you have people, and I'm not saying that, you know, these people were not sick, but For example, my oldest sister, thank God that she got through it. She got diagnosed, she got sick, but the years prior to that, they diagnosed her with pneumonia. And then that specific time period, they diagnosed her with COVID. I believe that it was an aggressive pneumonia, but we're not going to talk health too much directly. I will try not to. And I will try not to label things so that way we don't incorrectly spread out misinformation. But I definitely believe that it was an extremely aggressive pneumonia that people with underlying diseases were not able to attack it, not only because of the mRNA vaccine that was a messenger and was a different type of vaccine that was being produced. It was not the same type of vaccine. Two, obesity rates, the high blood pressure, all these things. These things were underlying factors that were already wrong with these patients, and they could not handle the aggressive pneumonia that came along with that. And as we know now, with the conspiracy theories, COVID was manufactured. It was manufactured. So I don't need to look at the files to know that these people has been poisoning us. They had an agenda to poison us. And then you have people like me that's like conspiracy theorists. You know, I have never been vaccinated. My mother called me nuts. Put a 1 in the comments if you've never been vaccinated. Put a 2 in the comments if you have been vaccinated. And do you regret being vaccinated? I need you to send me a comment, send me an email if you regret being vaccinated. Because I don't want you to also feel like that. Sorry, guys. I was playing myself back. If you've been vaccinated, how has it affected you? I heard that we had a rise in miscarriages. I know that the statistics, I have them in my phone. I'm not going to go through them right now because I read enough. But I know that, sorry guys. I know that the statistics for the people that got vaccinated, they were in a decline in their health. Their health was declining. Nothing got better. They didn't, it wasn't this magic pill that they took and all of a sudden they wasn't going to get COVID. Most of them got COVID. So when you're dealing with these boosters, you had 1 shot, 2 shots, booster shots, then you had another booster shot, I believe. So what? These are 3 to 4 shots that not only was manufactured for our people to get sick. Where is what is it called? The indictment. Where's the indictment? These people should be in jail. They mass produced a murdering weapon and they are walking free. Trump just bombed a whole school of children and he is the president of the United States. They're burying little girls right now because of our president. And I believe, I don't know if this happened before in history, he doesn't have control anymore. The reason why we get a chief executive to control the nukes, he has the codes. That is what our president does. I know that there's so many other things that the president does. I'm not ignorant to that, but I am very aware that we get a president so he can be in control of the codes. That is supposed to be the most trusted person in our country. And he went and bombed a school of little girls. Can we really trust our system? Can you really go to the doctor and trust what they're telling you? And I ain't saying to trust me. I'm saying to do the research yourself. I'm telling you to do the research yourself, because even when we had the dark web and we had the internet, Google went and bought that. So we can't even trust that all of these systems that also are telling us the information, because we're putting our information willingly into AI. All of you guys are putting pictures in so you guys can Photoshop, whatever the case may be. But in actuality, all of these things are gaining data information, biometrics. People be opting out of doing certain things, but agree to every single term when they go into websites and whatever and don't even read them. We don't read. I read. I don't read all of the contracts, obviously, but I read a lot. Most of us don't. Most of us are accepting all of these contracts and we don't read. These people are selling our information, they're selling our name, they're selling our property, and they're selling it across the country, and they're making money off of us. They don't care about us. This is why if they kidnap an American across seas, they pay money to get us back. America is one of the only countries that if they kidnap you, they can hold you for ransom, send a video back to the American president and say, I have one of your citizens. What other country you know that anybody care if anybody else take their people? Not in America. When Brittany Grimes, all these things, when they left, oh, yeah, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. This is how, whatever it may be. They traded a freaking mass murderer or some crazy thing like that just to get her back, if I'm not mistaken. So we, as citizens, we are worth a lot of money individually, and they know that. And every social security card, every birth certificate, everything that they do when we are born is for a strategic reason. They don't do that to keep a number on you, darling. They do that because we all still slaves. They still selling every single one of us. And if we ever woke up to that, they wouldn't have property. They wouldn't have nothing to gamble. We are their collateral. And as soon as we wake up and realize that, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do, guys. But I know that we also have to stay away from a lot of the propaganda that they're telling us, because just like China, just like all these places, remember, they're controlling the news. What makes us think that we're so free? Because they tell us that we're free. Because we could make some money, we could do this. Yes, we are one of the freest countries, but we ain't free. So I think it's important to understand, like, I really don't have people on the internet talking about real things anymore. Everyone wants to be in the same kind of sell a course type of thing. I'm going to do this to sell a course. I'm going to structure this and you're going to buy my course. It doesn't matter if it's a $10 course, a $20 course. Everybody's selling you something. And me, I'm selling you something that's sustainable, that is maintainable, because I'm selling you back to you. You have to sell yourself back to you, because you are the sustainable one. You're the only one that can keep up with what it is that the world wants. And you can't keep getting that from everybody else. We have to bring what it is that we have into the community and flourish, and then utilize whatever, everything else. So let's see what other topics we could get into, guys. Today's not going to be a long, I promise. It's not going to be too long. Now, supposedly, Epstein in this freaking house, the rich neighbors and everything for almost 20 years, no one ever said anything, right? So now they're trying to look into the neighbors because they're trying to see, okay, well, he was luring all these girls into this mansion. How did no one see? So next week, it's going to be a fun one. I want to show you the inside of the house and how huge it is, and like how he got away with just doing all of those things. And funny story, when I was younger, I was 15, my mom paid $500 for this model scout agency, and they scouted me off the street. They told me to go downtown to this office. We went to Times Square, and this is not kidding. My mom, one day, hopefully I could bring her on the podcast, and because she never let me live it down neither. So they stopped me on the street. They told me to go downtown, that I could be a model. Meanwhile, I'm 15 years old at the time. They charged my mom $500 or something like that. And when I tell you, we went back the next day, it was empty. It was completely empty. Kid you not. I wish I was making up this story. They not only did they scam my mom, whatever girls that did go with them, it's scary to think if they would have told me, yeah, let's go, we're gonna fly out tomorrow, where I would have went. And you have parents that trust because they want their kids to be famous. They want their kids to be popular. They want their kids to make money. We're poor. We're living in poverty, whatever the case may be. Yeah, we're making a way, but in terms, we are in poverty, living to check, whatever the case may be. So she took a chance. There were hundreds of girls there. Like, it was packed. Whoever was scouting literally was scouting all day because it was packed. And we got there. They told us to wear all black, told me to wear all black. They took some headshots, and kid you not, the next day, the entire floor was empty. That's how many girls were there, that it was an entire floor for the casting call. And it was empty the next day. So imagine if they flew those girls out, or whatever the case may be, never to be seen again. It's scary. It's scary to think that they thrive on, they keep us in this hole of poverty. They keep us in this hole of poverty just so we could be desperate enough to take these opportunities and fall into the trap. Because people like to ask, oh, well, why would people like Diddy and all these things, why would people just do those things? It's people are desperate. People are desperate to help their families. People are desperate to get out of the hood. People are desperate to get their mama out the hood. When you've seen poor enough, and you're hungry enough, and you're tired enough, and you're exhausted enough, you can make people do some crazy things. And that's also this new world order things. If you make people submit enough to the point where they're just so freaking tired and they don't have any more energy to do anything, they'll do anything. And that's why it's important to get your mind right, get your health right, get all these things right. Because no matter what, it's not okay to be a robot and a sheep and a zombie. These lives might suck for the first few episodes, but at least I get to talk about what I want to talk about. And I don't have to just sit behind the screen and watch what it is that they're telling me to watch. I can give out the information that I want to give out and hopefully try to change what people are listening to these days, because there is an algorithm and you set it. And when you set that algorithm and you're watching these toxic things and all the things that can be on social media, on the movies, the music, you're programming yourself. And they're programming you. So whether you know it or not, you think that you chose that show and you think that you chose that song and you think that, but you in actuality, they're choosing these things for you. They're reaching a demographic and they're targeting it, and then they're exploiting it, and we're falling for the trap. And we're just like, well, this is just a show. This is just a song. This is just a movie. But these are things that are shaping our reality. Because as we can see, these kids are so different now than us, and we're so different than our parents, and our parents are so different from their grandparents. And yes, that's evolution, but I don't think that we're evolving in the way that we're supposed to be evolving. I think that there's a split, and the split is, some people are rising and some people are getting lower, and I know that's probably normal, but because I'm so aware of it, and I'm so tempted sometimes to go back low because it's easy. Yeah. It definitely makes me want to stick to my goals even more. And as tired as I am, and sometimes I get lazy and I'm frustrated. And, I was really angry today because I couldn't do certain things and I was overwhelmed. And then I came here and then things didn't work out the way that I wanted to. So, but you still have to do it. There's no excuse to sit and tell yourself, well, I just didn't feel like it. Because Trump felt like bombing that school today. So sometimes we can't use our emotions to do or not do certain things. You know what I'm saying? False discipline is a real thing. You don't want to also tell yourself, oh, well, I have to. No. That's also trying to force yourself into things. Using your discernment to understand the information that's processing through you and saying, hey, is this for me right now, or can I do this later, is important to understanding. I can't do everything about what's going on in the world right now. I can only really fix myself. And I think that's where I personally, as an empath, I get really overwhelmed. Because I start to feel the world, and I start to feel what's going on around the world, and I start to want to fix it, and then I get really overwhelmed by the fact that I can't. So sometimes it's not all about fixing things, more so just having a space to talk about it like this. So next week, I want to invite more of a space for all of us to speak together and have the live chat where I can see your comments and, invite some guests over. And I really want to hear what it is that you guys want to talk about. Because yes, it's about me, but it's also about us. And I'm building a community that we can lounge together, talk together. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 chairs in front of me that are empty. I'm looking forward to filling them. If you have a brand or a product or a blog or a YouTube post or a YouTube profile that you want to just promote, be sure to hit me up and just email me, and I'll definitely write you guys back. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week where things are, you could get my intro and the videos and have an image to the things that I'm saying as well, But other than that, I think we're going to cut it short today. By the way, you can look up the Epstein files on DOJ Epstein Library database as well. If that's something that you want to look for. So, my routine, Miss Kim Knowledge, what it is that I do, how I do it, why I do it, when I do it. Again, I'm a 32-year-old woman. I come from Harlem, New York. I grew up with two older sisters. I am the youngest. My parents have been together for 33 years. I love them to death. I love my grandmama too. And yeah, I have a very small family. We're very big when we together, but very small family. And I think the second generation, which is my uncles and my sisters and stuff, they really, well, technically third generation, but whatever. They break in generational curses, you know, like my uncle's been in the Navy for over 10 years. My cousin's been in the Navy. My other uncle retired from the Navy, I think 13, 14 years. My sister got married, which is something that doesn't necessarily happen in our community. My uncle's getting married in April, you know. My sister was one of the first to finish college. So I think coming from a generation of we're doing the first, we're the first to do this, the first to do that, it changes the standard, because there were no standard, you know. So you are your competition, you are and it's hard sometimes to have that willpower from yourself, if that makes sense. Basically, when you don't have someone as a predecessor as from you, you don't have anything to compare to. Oh, I'm going to be better than that, or it gives you that drive. When you have to just get it from yourself, oh, I'm just going to be the first to finish college, or I'm going to be the first to do this, or, you know, it changes the game for who you are. And I've always looked up to my sisters and my mom and stuff, but lately that I've really been processing my family. Lip gloss break, guys. Lately that I've really been processing my family. It's not easy coming from nothing and then trying to do the things that you do with nothing, you know? And I know that we don't have much in our community, but we have love and we have each other. And I think if we just open our mouth more and just ask each other more for things, we'll be able to accomplish a lot of the things that we want. I really want my friends to come on here, and I don't really care if this podcast gets popular or not. More so creating my everlasting friendships that I know that I always had, but grounding them within this show and letting the world know how dope my circle is. And that's how I ended up the person that I am. I didn't end up the person that I am just by looking at a blank wall. You know, I ended up the person that I am through the people that have surrounded me. And I can't wait to show you guys those people, because I grew up with one of the smartest, most beautiful, most everything people. And it's just, I can't wait for them to accept to come to the show and all these things. And of course, if you're looking to brand stuff and whatever the case may be, that's fine as well. As the channel becomes bigger, we can collaborate, and I'm more than welcome to sponsor your things on the show and have them view it. But for now, this is more so table talk. I want to create a table talk with my friends, with my family, highlighting the things that made us so dope as females, and how we held out, and how we're 32 now and still looking good, and all these things that you know, the older women sometimes are like, why are you at the gym? Why are you this? And it's like, because we're choosing different routes. We didn't just choose to do the same thing that our parents did and just retire at 65 and whatever the case may be, you know. It's great to go the straight route. It's guaranteed, it's safe. But that's one thing that our parents did. They went the safe route. And I think for us, we definitely have to take some more risks these days. We have to take some more risk. We have to take some more chances. We have to sacrifice a little more because they sacrificed their time and their life in order to try to raise us and do the right things. But in actuality, what's the right word? Incorporating. We were always supposed to incorporate that drive. Use those kids as drive to be better. Oh, well, I'm going to create one of the best schools. I remember my man asked me, what would you do if you win the lottery? And I said, I would just make a big ass freaking school. Big ass boarding school that they could stay, go to school. I'll have the nutritionist. I'll have all the things set up. The way that you could go to college for African American studies, nah. The whole school gonna be set up. The way that yeshiva and the stuff, that this Jewish, nah. We're gonna have that campus like that, specifically for our community. Caribbean studies, African studies, American studies, because they sleep on a lot of the American indigenous that we are, and they take that away from us. They don't want us to know that we were here first, like how the Haitians founded Chicago, and that was one of the, you know, it's a lot of things that they don't want us to know that we were here. So these are the type of things that I want to talk about with my friends that that are so much fun and so interesting to talk to. And yeah, other than that, what else can we talk about? Now, also, getting into next week's episode, we're going to be getting into the difference between the biological, social, and spiritual dimensions, especially from a biblical aspect. Men and women, they think very differently. You know, I myself am a woman, so I think very differently than a man. And sometimes I'm in awe to watch how a man can hone in on one thing and do it so well, and how I done did those 10 things on the list already. Now, are those 10 things as of quality? Sometimes no. It depends on what it is. But I do know that just because we do things differently doesn't mean that we can't come together to do things correctly together as well. So finding a man, keeping a man, and loving a man, all three different aspects, right? So I'm learning. Maybe I wasn't ready to be a wife the way that I thought so, because I wasn't ready to care about how a man thinks, to tell you the truth. Not that I didn't want to. It just didn't come across in my mind that I didn't know. I just figured, you're not understanding me. I'm not understanding you. It's time to move on to the next relationship. When in actuality, if I never take the chance to care about how a man thinks, I'm never going to be able to get along with a man anyway. So these are things that I want to talk about with the panel of guests that may be married, unmarried, have kids, don't have kids, so we could really get a different dynamic of the same arguments, same situations, all different scenarios, and us thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. But in actuality, the grass is only greener where you water it. The grass is never greener on the other side. We learned that a long time ago. But I think I'll see you guys next week. We're going to end it here. I want you guys to. Today was a little all over the place, like just like yesterday, but next week we're going to have those videos in. We're going to have all the little details and good stuff. I want you guys to follow my Instagram, Kim Knowledge _. Follow my YouTube, Kim Knowledge _. No underscore in the YouTube, actually. It's just Kim Knowledge. And yeah, thank you guys. See you soon.